Hello you guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Sadaf and I love all things home decor and DIY. If you watched any of my other videos, then you probably know I'm really into raffia and weaving and basket type materials. So today I'm going to be sharing two of my favorite DIYs I've done so far. One of them is a wall hanging. I've already shared a couple of wall hangings with you guys, but today I'm going to be sharing another one. And I'm going to be sharing a woven glass. You know, the ones that have seagrass weavings around them. Seagrass isn't available in my country, so I've used raffia. So without further ado, let's get into it.
To make the woven glass, you're gonna need a piece of cardboard, and then you're gonna make 8 cuts around your piece of cardboard, as you can see here. Then you obviously need a simple plain glass and a piece of raffia. I'm measuring from one side of the glass to the other, plus some extra, and cutting it. And then I'm going to be cutting 16 of the same size. I grabbed a group of 4 and just put it inside 2 of the cuts, as you can see here, and kind of just locked them in, and then grabbed another group of 4, and this time I repeated the same thing but in the opposite direction. Yeah, then just grabbing another group of 4, and this time going opposite our previous group again. The third group is going to be sitting next to our first group, and the second one is going in between them, as you can see in the middle, and then our last group of 4 is going to go in between. You can see better, I think, than I can explain, but it's kind of like weaving in between our previous groups of raffia. Then I grabbed a long piece of raffia, folded it in half, and just one side of that long piece is gonna go under 2 of our groups, and the other side is gonna go over and putting it around those 2 groups. Then we're gonna switch and twist our weaving raffia and bring the side that was over under our next 2 groups this time. Pulling it tight, and then the other side is gonna go over, and then again the side that's over here is gonna go under our next 2 groups, and the side that went under is gonna go over the next 2 groups. Or you could say that you're just going to twist the 2 sides of our weaving raffia and just go under and over. It's basically the same thing, just different ways of saying it and explaining it. You're gonna do this for a couple more rows so your weaving has a little bit of a structure, and then you can actually just remove it from the cardboard and just weave without it. Because there's no cardboard underneath, it's actually easier to weave. And I'm just repeating the same thing, but after 3 to 4 rows, you can actually separate the groups. Previously, we had 2 groups of 4 right next to each other and weaving with all of them, and now we're going to be weaving with each group separately. And again, after 3 rows of weaving like that, we're going to separate them even more, and this time we're going to be weaving with each 2 strands of raffia. And if you don't have access to twisted raffia, you can actually use regular raffia, and because that's thicker, your weaving is actually going to go forward easier and faster, but it's just going to be a little bit of a different texture than this one. When you run out of your raffia, you want to just flip your weaving, and just here you can see I'm separating the previous rows a little bit with my nails so that I can just, kind of just put it in between your previous rows, and it helps to lock it in place. You can actually go in between a couple of rows. I just did one, and you can see on the other side it looks pretty clean and seamless. And then you can just cut the extra pieces, cut it short, and later on we're just going to be using a dab of hot glue to just keep it in place and make sure it's not gonna go anywhere. Then I'm just adding my new piece of raffia, another long piece that I folded, and I'm just keeping it with my hand, with my other hand and my fingers, so it doesn't move because it's not attached to anywhere. And when our weaving is the same size as the bottom of our glass, we're actually going to grab it and kind of just hold all the short pieces of raffia with our hand and just really hold them really close to the glass and then start weaving. And this way you can actually weave in the shape of the glass itself instead of just weaving it flat. The first few rows here are going to be a little bit challenging because the weaving moves around a lot. And I should mention, I'm holding the glass in my hand like this because I wanted to film, and it actually makes the whole thing way harder. And if you just put it on a surface, put it on a table, you can weave way easier. As you can see here, your glass doesn't move, your weaving doesn't move, and it's just so much easier. And when I reached this part, just cut the rest of my weaving raffia, and again just finishing my weaving off, making it look clean. And then we're going to be adding our new piece of weaving raffia, but this time with a little bit of a gap, and then we're actually going to be making X's. To do that, as you can see, I'm kind of pulling my raffia so it's not straight, and then instead of weaving with the next 2 short raffias, I'm skipping those ones, bringing the 2 next ones closer, weaving with those 2, and then moving to the next 2. I think you can see what I'm doing. And again, this part is going to be a little bit challenging because the raffia isn't really attached to anywhere. I find that keeping it with my thumb is actually very helpful. And again here, I'm skipping the two that I was supposed to weave with, weaving with the next two, and then weaving with previous two that I just skipped. This first row is going to be a little bit hard, and if it's your first time weaving, then yours is probably not going to be looking very neat at this stage. I've done this quite a few times, so I've kind of got the hang of it. And when you're done with your first row, you want to just make sure everything is tight and looking neat, and you can just separate them and just move them around, move your pieces around, and then keep on weaving, and then just leave another gap and just repeat the same thing, making X's and weaving with them. Again, the first row is going to be a bit challenging, but after that it gets easier. I'm just adding some hot glue. And to finish off the top part, I'm just folding the pieces and getting them in between the weaving, and then just cutting that little bit of extra piece. But the easier way would be to just fold them and add a bit of hot glue and just cutting the extra. This is how my glass looks. And I didn't have time to film a nice styling video, so here's me pouring some tea. For the second DIY, which uses the same technique pretty much, we're gonna start with a metal ring. The metal ring is actually wrapped in raffia. It doesn't have to be raffia, it could be yarn, jute, whatever you have at hand. It's just to prevent the raffia that I'm tying to it from sliding and moving around. And I just started with some long pieces of raffia and tying it to both sides of the ring. And this is the same thing I did for the glasses. This time we're doing 6 pieces instead of 4, and we're using the ring instead of the cardboard. This is how the middle section looks. And then this time I actually decided to use the regular type of raffia. Again, cut a long piece, folded it, put it around one of the groups of 6, just twisted the raffia, and the side that was at the top goes under the next group, and the side that was under this time goes over the next group, and just repeating the same thing, this time with each group of 6. And what I did here was, after just 2 rows of weaving, I untied each group and started separating them and just tying them to the ring with equal distances. But I made a mistake and it was too early to do so, and you'll see here why. I think I should have waited longer, and here I started weaving with each individual strand of raffia, but because they were so close to each other, it was very challenging. And here you can see how tight the weaving is actually. I just kept on going for a couple more rows. Again, just like the glass, cut my weaving raffia, just secured it to the back, made a little bit of a gap, and just started weaving. This time we're not making X's, we're just going straight or round, I should say. And because the new raffia here isn't attached to anywhere, you're just gonna keep tightening it, pulling it so it's looking nice, and moving it around to make sure it's in a perfect circle. And again, finished my second ring, you could say, here, and moved on to the third one. At this point, the weaving goes so fast, and when I was finished, I just watered down some PVA glue and brushed it to the back side of the weaving. And this makes sure that the weaving is gonna be firm and it's not gonna go anywhere. When the glue was dry, I just cut around it and just got it out of the ring. You could leave it like that, but I decided to attach all the little pieces to the back side as well. And I don't know why I decided to use PVA glue, but it obviously wasn't working. I switched to hot glue later on. And here's the wall hanging complete.
I hope you enjoyed today's DIYs. If you did, please let me know down below which one was your favorite. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hope to see you again. Bye!